For my topic, I chose why the medieval times had such an impact on literature. I think it is important to start with the time period, which is 1200 to 1500. Many historians credit the loss of Normandy control as a turning point for the English language. Losing Normandy led to a series of invasions by France and England, causing English nationalism to grow. This newfound nationalism, as well as a new rise in the middle class, led strongly to the reestablishment of English. The bubonic plague hits England in waves between 1348 to 1369, killing roughly half of England's population. This brought more jobs, which meant that more people were traveling and therefore English was spreading vastly. By the time Chaucer is around, English is the prominent language. It's really interesting to touch on Old English and how it is different from modern English. Old English was a synthetic language, meaning that it indicates the relation of words in a sentence by means of inflections, usually endings on nouns, pronouns, adjectives, adverbs, and sometimes verbs. This is very different from modern English, that is an analytical language, meaning it places use on prepositions in word order to create meaning and show a relationship. So what? Why is this important? By the time English develops into Middle English of Chaucer's time, it has lost some of its inflections, but still retains a good bit. According to Gross in his readings of Canterbury Tales, this makes it difficult for modern English readers to understand some of Chaucer's work because it either lacks inflections or it has too many. So why is Chaucer important? I think we should start at the beginning, as in what is prosody. During my research, the word prosody came up often. Hale and Kaiser define prosody as the treatment of syllables in verse, whether they are considered long or short, accented or unaccented, stressed or unstressed. French, author of A Chaucer Handbook, claims that Chaucer's most significant prosody was his 7-line stanzas. I find it most interesting that Chaucer is credited with introducing the iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter is a pattern consisting of 5 repetitions of unstressed syllables followed by a stressed syllable. The best example of Chaucer's use of iambic pentameter is in the prologue of the Canterbury Tales. In order for verse to be considered iambic, it has to have 5 feet. It is important to note that a line of poetry is broken into feet, which are individual units within a line of poetry, as you can see in the example on the right. A foot of poetry has a specific number of syllables and a specific pattern of emphasis. Therefore, in iambic pentameter, there are 5 feet in each line with 5 stressed syllables. As you can see from the example from readings on the Canterbury Tales, each foot is marked with a backslash and each stressed syllable is marked with an X. It is also of importance to note that Chaucer puts in a pause in the middle of his lines, usually after the 4th syllable. But what really was Chaucer's impact? Chaucer was important for a multitude of reasons. First, he introduced the iambic pentameter. Secondly, he wrote awesome poetry. Works that include The Book of the Duchess, The Legend of Good Women, Troilus and Cresside, and of course, the Canterbury Tales. But most importantly, he influenced some of the greats. So then what? Why does any of this matter? Because then came Shakespeare. No, Shakespeare was not a medieval author, but he drew a lot of inspiration from Chaucer. Historians jokingly called Shakespeare Chaucer's son because he developed the iambic pentameter into what we know now. Shakespeare challenged the rules of meter and changed the pause. He made it to where the pause didn't have to be after the 4th syllable, it could be after the 7th or the 5th. This opened up a new freedom for writers to write what they wanted instead of trying to fit a mold. Without the medieval literature of Chaucer, we wouldn't have been introduced to such a powerful tool in poetry, the iambic pentameter. So I leave you with this. I challenge you to open a well-known book of verse. Pick any line, and it will probably be written in iambic pentameter.